Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, my fellow reptiles, to Face Palm Sunday. And today is a video response to the two religious men known as Eric Hovind, who I'm sure you've heard before, and Ben Shetler. Because they're going to tell you why Robin Williams committed suicide.
The strange irony is that while he gave out lots and lots of laughter, his own life was actually lacking joy.
You think of a man that had all the success as a comedian, he had career success, he had financial success, and yet he didn't know the true joy of Jesus Christ.
Robin Williams did not know the true joy of Christ. You know, when people use their religion to exploit someone's tragedy like this by saying the reason that they killed themselves is because he didn't know Jesus, it really strikes an angry chord with me. And I say that simply because, you know, people have been asking me to make a video regarding the Leah Alcorn or Leah girl who recently committed suicide, who's a transgendered teen whose parents were religious and who took everything from her. And my question to you is, if you're really going to say that he committed suicide because he didn't have Jesus Christ in his life and he had no joy because he didn't have Jesus in his life, then how would you respond to the people like myself who grew up in a religious household, who loved Jesus at a point in time, who believed everything the gospel had to offer, but was led to suicide due to religion, due to beliefs of religion, due to teachings of religion, due to the repression, due to how it made me think and how God was somehow allowing things to happen to me to strengthen me? How do you respond to the religious people who do in fact commit suicide because they're rooted in religion and the shame and guilt that religion instills on them? Because you can sit here and say that because he didn't have a relationship with Jesus, therefore that led him to suicide. But if that's really true, then how do you dismiss my experience that atheism saved me from suicide?
When you actually dig into Robin Williams' life, you discover that he battled drug addiction and alcohol abuse and severe depression, which obviously everybody knows now.
And Eric, it certainly is not our responsibility to judge what Robin Williams was thinking and in his heart at the end, but certainly we know from Scripture that the choice to take your own life is a wrong one, and it's one that comes from no hope.
Did you mention not just a few seconds ago that you're not the one to judge what was going through his mind, but here you're doing exactly that by saying that he shouldn't have killed himself because thou shalt not kill according to the Bible? Which this really makes me, actually, this brings up a great question, which I've never really considered this. If what you're saying here is thou shalt not kill, and what Robin Williams did to himself, committing suicide, was inherently wrong, sinful, or evil, and against God, then how do you respond to euthanized patients who already have a terminal illness who want to actually die? Now, I've discussed this in my previous videos before on the topic of euthanasia, and I believe that if someone is terminally ill and they are able to decide for themselves and want a way out, to have a dosage where they can die a peaceful death and stop the pain because they're already going to die to begin with and there's no way to cure the terminal illness, that I support euthanasia. So if someone is a Christian, for example, my own father, who recently had 2 strokes that has affected him, he has told us, my family, myself, and it would have to be me to do this, we've already discussed it in my family, that if my dad goes through another stroke and he becomes a carrot in the hospital bed, that he wants us to pull the plug. And I'm going to be the person to do that. My father is a Christian. He believes in Jesus, believes in all that stuff, believes in the Bible. My father is a Christian. So would, by your own definition, would my father be sinning and killing himself because he already has a terminal illness, or is in a carrot to where he's having amounts of pain? Question to consider, because I don't believe that if my father wanted to die from being terminally ill or dying in pain, and he was already going to die to begin with, that if he wanted to have an overdose, that he should be euthanized, and he wants that for himself.
Back to the Creation Today show, the tragic death of Robin Williams began a national conversation on the subject of suicide. And Ben, I don't think people realize how prevalent suicide is in our culture and in our society today.
Eric, I did some research, and according to the World Health Organization, 800,000 people take their own life every year. That represents 1.3% of the world's population. Every 40 seconds, someone is taking their own life. And that makes me ask a question about secularism and atheism. In a worldview where we are just random molecules, what legitimate answer can atheism give to someone that says, I'm depressed, I want to take my own life? So let's look at the atheist worldview. Eric, what do atheists say about our origins? Where do we come from?
Nowhere. Random, chance, time,
What
energy.
do they say about purpose? Do we have any?
No, there wouldn't be any ultimate purpose to life, just whatever you make out of life, whatever you make.
Do we have any meaning?
It wouldn't be any meaning because, there's no purpose, no meaning.
Is there anyone fighting?
No atheist or skeptic that I know believes that we just are completely, utterly random molecules with no meaning. I've never heard anybody say this. This is a really common misconception that you Christians like to pinpoint on anyone who's a skeptic, agnostic, or atheist, is that we all believe that we're just random molecules, and we believe that life has no meaning, that we can't have meaning apart from your Jesus.
For us or anyone on our side.
Survival of the fittest. You're kind of on your own. It's, might makes right, whatever you can do.
So in a world where we are random creations, no one is fighting for us, we have no purpose, what answer can you give to someone who says, my life stinks, I want to end it?
There is no answer in atheism. If you go with the Christian worldview, though, the Christian worldview would answer those questions very differently.
Right.
According to Christianity, according to creation, where did we come from?
We came from God who made us.
Why are we here?
We have a purpose to glorify Him.
I can't help but kind of chuckle at how scripted this really is in terms of your dialogue here. Why do we have a purpose to glorify Him? And also, why would I want to glorify Him? That's one of the things that Christianity has never really sustained, is it gives answers, but those answers don't line up as to why we should. That's the question. Why should we attempt to glorify God? If He's all-powerful, He's all these amazing things, I see no reasons why we need to attempt to glorify someone who already can make people do whatever the fuck He wants. He has all the power in the world, so why do we need to glorify God? I have yet to hear any Christian give a sustainable answer as to why we need to glorify God. And of course, some people will say, well, because if we don't glorify Him and obey Him, He's going to send us to hell. And why do we need to glorify God, though, and He's going to send us to hell if we don't glorify Him? It still doesn't make any sense to me. Why would He send us to hell when He created us? Is He that narcissistic that He demands us to glorify Him, and then He punishes us if we don't do what He wants? To me, it sounds like God simply created us to be His little puppeteers, that He demands certain things from us, and if we don't do it, He punishes us just to simply toy with us because He likes to toy around with us stupid little humans.
What is the meaning of life?
Well, we have so much meaning. There's love in life. There's peace in life. God loves us. He's adopted us into His family.
What about who's for us if creation is true?
God is for us.
If-
Who can be against us?
Absolutely.
I'm persuaded that neither death, nor life, nor angels, nor the preacher in me.
Yeah, you're going, buddy. I got to tell you, if we want to examine this worldview and understand, if we want to talk about suicide, we have to ask a legitimate question to the atheist worldview out there. If atheism is true...
Well, I have to stop you right there because I don't know anyone who claims that atheism is true. You just said, if atheism is true. There's no argument here because atheism isn't making truth claims about the world. Atheism simply examines what we have found, what we have discovered, and we base our beliefs on that. And so far, there has been no divine empirical data. There hasn't been any empirical data to where it can prove that a divine creator actually exists. That's it. Atheism is not a truth claim, unlike Christianity, which is.
Why is suicide a bad thing? And it's a legitimate question that we must ask because honestly, most atheists would say it's not a bad thing.
Some would.
Some would,
Certainly, and it depends where
Many
they're at.
wouldn't.
Yeah.
Many would say, no, there's nothing wrong with that.
I have absolutely no idea where you're pulling this from, that most atheists would think that suicide is not a bad thing. In fact, I know plenty of people who did. Where are you even pulling the statistic from? You know, it doesn't matter how many people I know or how many people you know. The fact of the matter is that I'm quite positive that the majority, if not most people, religious or not, atheist or not, skeptic or not, believes that suicide is a bad thing. The only time that I believe suicide is a valuable option, or valuable is a option to choose, is when someone has a terminal illness. They're already going to die. They have massive amounts of pain, and there's no way to help them, and they're going to literally lay in a hospital bed in excruciating pain till the very last breath. That's where I support euthanasia, suicide. But I'm not sure where you're pulling this conclusion that atheists are fine and want people to commit suicide or think it's perfectly okay and acceptable. Everyone's life is valuable, and I'm not sure why you think that we atheists don't think that people's lives are valuable.
Matter of fact, in ancient Roman and Greek cultures, suicide was a legitimate, okay exit to life.
Yeah, in fact, it isn't until 452 AD in the Council of Our Lay that the worldview of Christianity and suicide being a negative thing begins to be brought back to the continent of Europe. Before then, people are like, oh, suicide, that's a valid life choice. And Eric, as the Christian worldview is beginning to be pushed out of Europe, we're finding some interesting statistics. Of all the world's countries that deal with it, the top 20 that have the largest amount of suicides, 13 of those countries are on the continent of Europe.
Wow.
Not only that, there are places in Europe that you can go that they will assist you in killing yourself. They'll say, here is poison with water, you can take this and we'll assist you in suicide.
Wow. Just wow. Oh my gosh. The fact that you just said this proves to me that you know nothing about euthanasia. First of all, these other countries that you're talking about, you cannot just walk in and say, I want to die, give me poison, which is exactly how you're presenting this mentality here, and that you can walk any place in Europe, say, I want to kill myself, give me poison, they take it, you die. Well, that's what atheism leads to. No. First of all, the way it works in these other different countries is that you have to actually be diagnosed with a terminal illness to begin with before you can just go up to those specific hospital areas and say, I want to die. You have to have a verifiable terminal illness or something that proves that you are actually dying to begin with. You can't just walk up to a doctor and say, give me poison, I want to die. The same goes for the United States. In order to be even qualified for euthanasia, to be poisoned, to die a peaceful death, you have to be qualified with a terminal illness to begin with. You try to muddle in atheism leads to suicide because you can go to places and commit euthanasia on yourself with actually not verifying what you have to do in order to be qualified to begin with to be euthanized. Displays to me that you just wanted to exploit not only Robin Williams, but you wanted to exploit suicide to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. And you know what would be really interesting? If I could find, and maybe there is a study out there, I don't know, if I could find a statistical study that shows statistics for people who are religious or have had religious family members who have committed suicide. Because I'm sure there's a statistic out there somewhere or some sort of journal or something to where people in religious households have committed suicide. I mean, just the most recent suicide of the transgendered teen who killed herself because her religious parents took everything away from her.
Problem is this makes sense in a atheist worldview, and it's heartbreaking, and we need to be very careful about that here. Thankfully, in the United States, people are saying this is a bad thing. Robin Williams' death is not a good thing, it's a tragic thing.
I would really like to know where exactly you are hearing or seeing these types of people claiming that suicide is a good thing. Where exactly are you seeing these types of behaviors? Because I haven't seen that anywhere, unless, of course, you guys are reading YouTube comments of people who say you should kill yourself, or, you know, those troll comments that you get on YouTube on a regular basis. Maybe you're applying those to your statements that people want others to kill themselves, because quite frankly, I've never heard that, and I'm not saying simply because I haven't heard it, doesn't exist, but to make big statements like that on a massive, large portion of the United States saying that atheists want people to kill themselves is pretty insulting and degrading to anyone who's an atheist or a skeptic for that matter. You seem to have such a disdain for those people who are atheists that you'll make anything up on the spot and pull things out of your ass just to make your religion look a little bit better, when in reality, it makes it look a lot worse when you exploit Robin Williams and suicide to push your agenda. My name is Daniel Solzbach, also known as Mr. Repzion. This has been a Facepalm Sunday video. The video is linked down below. Thank you guys for watching. My name is Daniel Solzbach, also known as Mr. Repzion. Peace, the rep out, and have a fantastic Sunday.